the word genocide. He did so to describe the systematic extermination of the Jewish people during the Holocaust. 8 decades later, members of the European Jewish Association are speaking out against what they call a dangerous distortion of Lemkin's legacy. The organization is calling on the Lemkin Institute for Genocide Prevention, which has accused Israel of genocide, to change its name and restore honor to the word's original intent. Joining us now to discuss this and so much more, our friend is back, Mr. Harley Lippman, board member of the European Jewish Association. Harley, it's always good to see you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Good to be here.
All right, so what is the European Jewish Association's main concern with regard to the Lemkin Institute and its use of the term genocide against Israel?
Well, what they're doing is they're misappropriating his name. Raphael Lemkin, who, as you mentioned, coined the phrase, who lost over 50 members of his family in the Holocaust. And his work was so important that he was nominated 10 times for the Nobel Peace Prize and worked tirelessly for 6 decades to promote peace and to fight against intolerance. Now, someone comes along taking his name and using it, weaponizing it against Israel and its supporters. That's the equivalent of someone using Martin Luther's name to fight for, to support racism. That would be the equivalent of using Maria Teresa's name to, instead of supporting kindness, to promote cruelty. That's how extraordinarily evil this is. Martin Luther King promoted tolerance, peace. If you used his name to actually support racism, think how outrageous this is. That's what's happening here.
Yeah.
They're using it to attack Israel in a way to smear Israel, delegitimize Israel, and they're anti-Semites in doing so. There's no other way to describe it.
Harley, you have been working very closely with members of the Lemkin family, and I'm curious, what does this issue really represent to them personally?
Well, it's deeply, deeply painful for them that their relative, their father and grandfather, who devoted his life to preventing genocide, it's now being turned on its head. And to give you, so they're very distressed by this, to say the least. It's traumatic for them. And to prove the bad faith of this group that has created the Lemkin Institute, which is what his last name is, within days of the attack by Hamas on October 7th that we all know about, they supported it. Say it's a legitimate response to imperialism, if you will. And they attacked Israel within 5 days of the war for genocide. Israel barely responded in 5 days. Israel was in shock and unprepared. So the fact that they accused Israel after Hamas crossed the border and raped and tortured and murdered, and then Israel went to get their hostages back, barely fighting and killing any Gazans at this point, they accuse Israel of genocide. So that's real proof they're not acting in good faith. The war was just beginning in Gaza, and the only genocide we saw was Hamas killing every Jewish man, woman, and child they could get a hold of. A 1-year-old baby they would murder and decapitate. Elderly people in wheelchairs they would burn alive in front of their families. That's genocide. So the struggle we have here in the family is that they're taking something and turning it upside down to use it as a weapon against Jews and against Israel, to further grow anti-Semitism.
Harley, we know that there are now calls for a name change, and I'm yet again interested and curious with regard to that. What do you believe is at stake overall with regard to this debate?
Well, it goes to the heart of intellectual honesty. It goes to the heart of truth. It goes to the heart you can't misappropriate somebody's name. I keep on going back to Martin Luther King because universally he is seen as a man who fought against racism. So I know I keep on bringing it up, but it's just worth mentioning again. This is the equivalent of people using his name to promote racism, to, let's say, support slavery in the South before the Civil War. Think how unconscionable, how outrageous it would be to African Americans and to any human being. Well, that's the exact same thing that's happening now to the Jewish people by taking his name and using it against Israel and the Jewish people. And what makes it so much more egregious is also what they're doing is illegal. They set up a 501c3 to save money for having a tax exemption. And the rules are clear. You can't use it to make political advocacy. But they're doing exactly that. They're using political advocacy. So on a deeper level, to your good question, the only weapon that minorities have is the truth. And so when someone turns it upside down, it's very sinister and could be very effective. And the truth is the only thing that will save us at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So we need the truth to come out.
Yeah, as they say, the truth will always prevail. We'll end with this, Harley, and that is, what do you think overall will come from this campaign beyond the name change? And what I mean by that, I'm thinking in terms of education, truth, and obviously accountability.
You nailed it. This is exactly what we're fighting for, EJA and other organizations. You know, that ever since the Holocaust, Jews in particular thought, the lessons had been learned. And we all have been in shock and traumatized. I am traumatized that what we saw on October 7th, and this speaks to this, in some ways, was even worse than the Holocaust. The level of personal brutality and savagery with torture and extensive rape and humiliation. And so we're entering a new world where guardrails are off, red lines are gone. We're entering a world of middle-aged savagery where you could say and do anything in the pursuit of power and turn on innocent people and in a very malicious way, take real crimes that have happened and reverse it and turn it on the victims. So this holds a lot of interest for the future, as we don't want the truth to be distorted and misappropriated.
Yet again, that's why we make sure the truth prevails here on the Live Zone. We have been speaking with none other than Harley Lippman, board member of the European Jewish Association. Always good to see you, my friend. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
My pleasure.
All right, folks, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.